This duo was fantastic. The Boston Celtics played a fantastic game versus the Toronto Raptors, beating them 105-96. And Jrue Holiday and Derrick White were a dynamic duo for this Celtics team. Without Jaylen Brown and a big third quarter from Jayson Tatum, the Boston Celtics had a dominant win versus the Toronto Raptors. And we're going to be breaking down the post-game analysis and looking at the post-game stats, breaking down some reactions to this game tonight here on Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. But before we dive into any Boston Celtics content, I'd like to say that roughly right around 80% of our viewers are not subscribed. We'd really appreciate if you guys hit that big old red subscribe button and joined the Celtics Digest family. We're getting closer and closer to our goal of 3,000 subscribers, so if you want to make sure you stay up to date on daily Boston Celtics content, hit that subscribe button, as you definitely will not regret it. But let's dive into the video at hand as we look at this breakdown, diving into the Boston Celtics getting a fantastic big road win versus the Toronto Raptors. And like I mentioned, Jaylen Brown was not playing tonight versus the Toronto Raptors, and the Boston Celtics did fantastic without him. In the first half, this game was back and forth a bit as the Celtics had a big lead going into halftime with a 11-point lead. The Celtics also had, some good performances from Jrue Holiday doing a lot of things for the Boston Celtics. Derrick White hitting some big shots early in the first quarter, and Kristaps Porzingis doing perfect from the free throw line. Then what happened was the Celtics had a bunch of turnovers throughout the game, but a tremendous amount of them in the third quarter, which led the start of the third quarter for the Raptors to bring back a comeback in a 20-3 run. But the Boston Celtics bounced back in the third quarter with a 24 run of their own to get back that 9-point lead going into the fourth, led by a fantastic run by Jayson Tatum, commanding the game and absolutely dominating. But in the fourth quarter, it went right back to Jrue Holiday as he was on fire for the Boston Celtics, as there was a bit of a big game of runs as it was a bit back and forth late in the fourth quarter. But the Boston Celtics held out with a big clutch shot from Derrick White, who went a little dry in the middle of the game, but picked up his shooting slump from what he did in the first half and absolutely dominated, hitting some big clutch shots. Al Horford played a fantastic game, and Oshae Brissett looked great off the bench as well. But let's dive in, looking at the team stats. As you guys can see, the Celtics shot 40% from the field compared with the Raptors as well, but the Celtics shot 41% compared to the Raptors 13%, which is absolutely terrible. The one thing is, though, the Raptors did outscore the Celtics with points in the paint 60-28. The Celtics did do good in the free throw percentage, though, 92% from the line compared to their 76 from the Toronto Raptors, getting back in that win column on the free throw percentage, what I like to see. Celtics and the Raptors close in the rebounding, Celtics only beating them by 1, with the Raptors getting 4 more offensive rebounds, with the Celtics getting 5 more defensive. Raptors getting 5 more assists, but the Celtics getting 5 more blocks than the Toronto Raptors. Raptors getting 3 more steals, Celtics 5 more turnovers. Like I mentioned, points in the paint, Raptors absolutely dominated the Boston Celtics, but the Raptors with 5 more fouls. So ultimately, for the Boston Celtics, the turnovers did cost them a lot of points and let the Raptors get in some big runs. And the Boston Celtics also not being able, to score in the paint that great tonight led them to, having the Raptors bring back this game. And it was kind of tough for the Boston Celtics to have that happen. The Celtics, though, being a solid three-point shooting team going into this game and actually being able to hit their shots at a pretty decent clip tonight, was able to win the game. And they also played very great team basketball. We want to look at the individual stats. As you guys can see, Jayson Tatum, like I mentioned, cooked up in the third quarter, 7 for 19, 1 for 6 from three-point range, 14 total rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. Great facilitator and great defensive tonight. Al Horford, when he steps into that starting lineup, he is shining for this team. 4 for 10 from the field, 2 for 4 from free throw. But like I mentioned, 9 defensive rebounds for a total of 11 total rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 10 points. Porzingis, not the greatest shooting night for him tonight. 2 for 6 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, but 10 for 12 from the free throw, and had 6 turnovers, but 6 total rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. Jrue Holiday and Derrick White were the dynamic duo for the Boston Celtics, though, like I mentioned. 7 for 14 for Holiday, 7 for 16 from White. 4 for 6 from the field, from 3, 5 for 11 from D. White. Like I said, he went in a little bit of a stroke, a little bit of a dry spell in the half of the game, but then in the second half, late towards the end of the game, came up clutch for the Celtics. Both of them were perfect from the free throw line, combining for 8 total rebounds, 8 total assists, 1 steal, and 2 blocks for 44 points. And like I mentioned, off the bench, Oshae Brissett had a big game for the Boston Celtics, 2 for 4 from the field, 2 for 2 from free throws, but like I said, 3 rebounds and 7 points, and brings a lot of energy, and that's what you like to see from this Boston Celtics team, is a wing that is going to bring that athleticism and want to fight for that ball and be that aggressor. We saw that a little bit with Neemias Queta, but we haven't really been seeing him play, so seeing it from Oshae Brissett is something that I really like to see. From the Toronto Raptors side of things, like I mentioned, they were able to score in the paint, but if you want to look at that three-point percentage, it is god-awful. 0 for 6. Everyone in their starting lineup were terrible besides Emmanuel Quickley, only shooting 2 for 7. And if you want to look at their points in the paint, they did great. Scotty Barnes had 13 rebounds, but didn't shoot that great, only 10 total points. Siakam, 17 points, didn't shoot the greatest, but had 7 for 8 from the free throw. Their main 2 contributors were RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, who the Celtics had not seen on the Toronto Raptors yet. RJ Barrett, 11 for 19 from the field with 9 total rebounds and 24 points, with Emmanuel Quickley, 8 for 20 from the field, 2 for 7 with 21. Dennis Schroeder had a big game off the bench as well. He played a lot of impactful minutes for this Toronto Raptors team. 5 for 9 from the field, 7 rebounds with 13 total points. But like I said, the Boston Celtics held their own in this game versus the Toronto Raptors. Big game led by the success of Derrick White and Jrue Holiday. And those are the impactful pieces that we want to talk about, as they are kind of the guys that haven't really stepped up. That they do step up big for the Boston Celtics, but they're not the main X factor guys like Jayson Tatum or Jaylen Brown. The guys that are asked to contribute on every single night and given that. And Jrue Holiday steps up when he's needed, like a guy like Jaylen Brown being out, a talented all-star for this Boston Celtics. Jrue Holiday being that fourth guy in that slotted all-star role on the offensive side, steps up to be that big guy for the Boston Celtics and actually is an effective scorer tonight for this team. Derrick White has had a little bit of a shooting slump since the start of the season, since his all-star ratifications have been breaking up, but he had an impactful game for the Boston Celtics going off. And Jayson Tatum, 14 rebounds and an absolute dominance in the third quarter, controlling that third quarter, owning that whole third quarter from the Boston Celtics, being an impactful piece. And like I mentioned, Al Horford, impactful, steps up for the Boston Celtics and has his best stats for the Boston Celtics when he's playing in this starting lineup. He was pushed to the bench because he knew he had to be the guy that had to take the bench role, but even when his number is called up, he still is impactful. He doesn't take a step down. So that is what you want to see out of this Celtics team going into this trade deadline and going into this playoffs. They are an attacking team, and they are an effective team that can be one of the best in this NBA and is one of the best in the NBA. But let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions down in the comment section down below about this Boston Celtics team and how impactful this win tonight was versus the Toronto Raptors, as we saw big successes from Jrue Holiday and Derrick White alongside some other great dynamics as well. The Celtics will take on the San Antonio Spurs next on Wednesday night at home, and it should be a big game. San Antonio going to be questionable with some injuries, so hopefully the Celtics can get that 20-0 record at home. Victor Wembanyama comes to Boston for the first time. But that's what we're going to be wrapping up on this episode of Celtics Digest. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.